Hello, this is Art for Introvert, and today we're going to discuss Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, the famous Inception. It took the director 10 years to write the script, and he first showed it to the producers back in the year 2000. He had no experience of directing such big-scale movies though, so he had to put the idea on hold for the time being. In 2008, Christopher Nolan released The Dark Knight. This film crossed the $1 billion mark in worldwide revenues and proved that Nolan could handle such ambitious projects. The following year, the studios gave Inception the green light. The film came out in 2010, earning over $800 million, receiving 8 Oscar nominations and winning 4 awards. As for the structure, Inception is one of the simplest movies made by Nolan. There are no space and time twists like in Interstellar, no confusing timeline like in Dunkirk, and no time inversion like in Tenet. The prologue aside, the film's narration is linear and its ending is logical. The plot is a straight narrative united by an Edith Piaf song throughout all the levels of the dream. Why then do we call this movie Nolan's main work, and what does it tell us? The title Inception presupposes 3 levels of installation of an idea into a person's mind. The first one is the story of Robert Fisher, an heir to a great business empire, and implanting into his mind an idea to dissolve his father's company. This is the main plotline of the movie. The second act of Inception is made by Dominic Cobb into the consciousness of his wife Moll. While working with lucid dreaming, they got carried away and spent more than 50 years in the world of their dream. Building endlessly beautiful cities and living a careless dream life, at some point Moll couldn't tell the dream from reality. But Cobb still remembered what was real and what was not, and looked for the ways to get back into the real world. So he implanted into her head the idea that the surrounding world is a dream. They had to wake up to get back to reality, and to do that, they needed to die in a dream. So they lied down in front of a train and found themselves waking up in reality after that. Only Moll held on to the idea that the world around her was not real. Why though? Several times throughout the movie, Cobb calls an idea resilient and highly contagious and says once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. Every member of Cobb's team has a totem, a special object that helps them identify whether they're in a dream or reality, and only the owner knows its special features. Moll's totem is a top that spins indefinitely in a dream, but she refuses to use it because she doesn't care anymore if she's in a dream or reality. She hides the truth deep inside herself, putting the top in the safe. Like a masterful director he is, Nolan conveys the idea visually. Cobb finds Moll's house with the safe hidden inside. The house is a metaphor for her subconscious, the deepest and most hidden corners of her soul. He spins the top and it never stops. In other words, Cobb puts the idea that the world is a dream deep in her subconscious because the top doesn't fall only in a dream. This is why when Moll wakes up in her flat in the real world, the top is still spinning inside her head. There is still this idea inserted by Cobb that the surrounding world is a dream. It's basically a visualization of Cobb's words that the idea is a parasite that you can hardly get rid of. This is why no rational evidence that Cobb provides can ever persuade her. Cobb is so confident that their operation on Fisher's consciousness is going to be a success because he has already done the same to his own wife. Moll's safe becomes a visual parallel for the safe inside Fisher's fortress of consciousness. In both cases, the safe is the deepest level of one's personality that contains the necessary idea. The third inception is an inception of a certain idea into the mind of Cobb himself. After the suicide of his wife, Cobb is racked with guilt because it was he who introduced her to the idea that reality is a dream. Deep inside himself, he still cannot believe that she's dead. Maybe it is he who is sleeping. This thought is eating him. Christopher Nolan shows Cobb's heavy burden of guilt through Moll's projection in his subconscious. He literally creates her image within himself, and she persuades him to take the plunge. So, their dialogues are actually Cobb's dialogues with himself. We see a profound conflict between dream and reality. Cobb's own totem is his wedding ring. We see it on his hand only when Cobb is in a dream. These totems help you distinguish dreams from reality and understand if you are in your own or someone else's dream. That's why totems are unique. Overall, Cobb uses his ring to see whose dream he's in. Why a second totem then? It's because Cobb is no longer interested in knowing whose dream he's in. We remember several Inception scenes that focus on the top but not the ring. What is the thing Cobb fears most of all? When he teaches Ariadne how to create a dream maze, he warns her of the temptation to recreate the whole fragments of reality. It is a sure way to get lost in between reality and dream. So, Cobb's main fear is to start confusing dreams and reality. That's what he needs a top for. It's not about someone else's dream. He's afraid to get stuck in his own. And deep inside himself, he hopes that the top will never stop, meaning that the world is a dream and that Moll is still alive. The emotional intensity of the film lies in Cobb struggling with the feeling of guilt, personified by Mole in his consciousness. The only person who knows about it is Ariadne. That's why she becomes the one to save Cobb from the labyrinth of his own subconscious. Her name refers to the ancient Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. In the myth, Ariadne gives Theseus a sword and a thread, helping him to kill the Minotaur and get out of the labyrinth. In Inception, Cobb is Theseus and the Minotaur is Cobb's belief that his wife is still alive. He can't let her go and locks her in the maze of his consciousness. This is why Cobb is also associated with King Minos, the creator of the labyrinth. And Ariadne from Inception plays the same role as in the myth. She rescues the main character and helps him to defeat the Minotaur. Overall, while on the surface Inception is a typical action film, it is actually a story of Cobb's escape from his consciousness and his return to reality. It is quite possible the whole operation was developed by the character of Michael Caine, Cobb's father-in-law and Ariadne's college professor. The presence of Michael Caine in a scene, just like the presence of the ring, allows us to understand exactly if we see the reality or Cobb's dream on the screen. Michael Caine's character appearing only in reality also gives us a clue to the movie's ending, which sparked off the heated 10-years-long debates among the viewers. Christopher Nolan himself admitted to Michael Caine that all the scenes that included him take place in reality. Eventually, Cobb was able to overcome the guilt complex and let Mole go. In the end of the movie, neither Cobb nor the viewer really care if Cobb is in the real world or in a dream because, after all, he fulfilled his dream and returned to his children. Summing everything up, Inception is a story of 3 acts of idea inception. The one into Fish's mind, so that he dissolved his father's empire. The one into Mole's mind, so that she could see that she was living in a dream. The one into Cobb's own head, so that he let the guilt go and could finally return to his children. Probably, this is the reason why Inception elicits such a response in the viewers. Every one of us has our own labyrinth with a Minotaur hiding in it. And Cobb's story shows us that there is always a way out of it. It is possible to defeat your inner Minotaur, even if with great difficulty. In his Princeton commencement speech, Christopher Nolan said to the graduates, "In the great tradition of the speeches, they usually say something along the lines of, 'Chase your dreams.' I want you to chase your reality, but I want you to understand that you chase your reality not at the expense of your dreams, but as the foundation of your dreams," he said. And his Inception is the best implementation of this idea.